see a lot of potential.
I've become much more confident.
But I feel like this is going to be a great year.
To make sure everyone is involved and no one feels left out.
Learning how to grow more confident in myself.
And I think it's really nice to have this sort of opportunity.
I can really try and get more cross-campus activities going on.
That we have to continue to be strong and be leaders of the DI and impact change in our school.
That our greatest accomplishment is that we're all still here and we're all dedicated to the DI, so it shows that we do care about this.
I think for the Manhattan campus, we've definitely started traditions such as open mic night and expanding the hour-week events and also the mentorship program, as well as starting this dialogue between teachers and students during the roundtables that's going to last for years after we graduate.
My biggest disappointment is not saying what I actually want to say sometimes, because it's hard to do that.
For me, I learned how to communicate, and not just with one type of person, but all kinds of people.
I learned that I'm capable of much more than I always thought I was. I also learned that the skills that we learn here in DI can also be used outside of the DI. Working as a team, sometimes there are going to be times where you're not going to see eye to eye with somebody else. And I would have to say that being a leader in DI is difficult because there are decisions that are being made that I didn't expect that I'd have to be making at this age.
I've learned that ideas and proposals are great on paper, but even better when it's carried out. I feel like it's difficult to live up to the expectations of what your role requires, but also the expectations of not even just DI volunteers, but also your classmates, your peers, your friends. I feel like these roundtables are so far one of the biggest impacts we've had in our schools. I wish people would know how change takes time.
I think my biggest disappointment has been not doing as much as I know I could be doing. Sometimes I know I could be doing more, but subconsciously, I guess, or consciously, I decide not to, and I'd like to change that.
Adding on that, today I learned after having discussion with Raheem and Jeffrey that I need to think more fully, not as just from a leader's perspective, but also from a student's perspective, and there's a lot of things to consider. One of the greatest things is that our organization is expanding. We have a lot more participants over in our retreat, and as the whole entire JSLT team. I think for my greatest disappointment also being myself. One is because I hold back a lot of times for saying things, and as a leader, I should be speaking out and doing more, but I'm not, and I'm not thinking fully with my words, and I should be. That's why there's a lot of, I guess, miscommunication.
I learned that if you want to say something and if you're thinking something, don't stop yourself from saying it unless you're about to get really angry or something. But if you have something in mind that you think is going to be a really good contribution to the discussion, never hold yourself back from saying it, because even if you might think that no one's going to listen to you or no one's going to care, that's totally wrong, because everyone listens and everyone cares, and your voice matters.
I've learned that everything takes time.
Most of the conversations I have with people in the DI are about the DI, and I guess I'm disappointed in myself for not having conversations with people about non-DI stuff.
So I've learned how to be way less awkward because I have to work with a team now. In order to be with a team, I have to actually speak up. So.
Like being in the SLT, it's not just about you anymore. It's you're working with the team and you're working for a bigger cause than just yourself. So whatever you do, whatever action you have, it doesn't just affect yourself. It affects the SLT, the DI, and then greater the school because you're not helping it.
I think for me, my biggest discipline would be, I think along the way I lost like passion for what I was supposed to do, and I kind of dropped the ball on many projects, and that was kind of.
My biggest disappointment was also myself because last semester I know I didn't participate in the DI as much as I wanted to, and I'm trying to redeem myself this semester.
I think being a leader in general, not even in the DI, is really difficult. Well, for me personally, because I have a hard time speaking up, and my words get twisted up a lot when I try to speak, but I've been working on it.
I think I want people to understand that even though we are well known in the school, it doesn't mean that we're connected to every single thing that goes on, and we shouldn't be blamed for things we shouldn't be blamed for.
Adding on to the roundtable, I feel like we're like giving students like the ability to talk about these issues with teachers, with adults in the school, not just in their little friend group, like, and just complain, but like let the problem out, tell people so like it could be resolved one day.
I think I would want people to know that the people in this room aren't like the only people to credit for our successes, that we have a whole huge organization behind us and you who like just push us and encourage us to get things done.
We are also now more than ever giving a voice to people who don't feel like they've been heard, and they feel like now that they can speak out about what they believe because they don't have to feel afraid of being oppressed.
Learn to connect with students that are not necessarily in my grade.
I think personally I've had to learn to be proud of myself and the people around me, because for a really long time I was ashamed of things that I really shouldn't have had to be ashamed of, and because I didn't defend myself, it was just left in the air. No one really knew what I was thinking. And so I feel like being a leader and also being in the DI has taught me that you have to stand up for yourself or people are going to assume things about you.
For me, I think my greatest disappointment has been like once I got the responsibility of being the leader on this team, I didn't really fully take advantage of it, and I guess let the team down and let the whole organization down. Yeah.
Because I feel like with responsibility comes also a lot of time commitments, and that's something I haven't really been able to do. And so often I've disappointed myself because I feel like sometimes I'm quick to say no just because I don't want to end up in situations. So I feel like that with leadership also comes like a lot of responsibility, and sometimes you think you're ready for that, but you're actually not.
I want people to realize that this isn't an organization that is for a specific group of people, that it is for everyone.
So one is that people actually notice what you do, even if you think that, even though they don't say anything, they're actually watching. And then another thing is that you might find yourself in tough situations, but it's kind of the way you deal with it and the way you move past it that kind of really defines who you are. And
I think it's difficult being a leader in a leadership team, because as a leader you think that you're in charge and you have to take care of everything, but as a team of leaders you have so many people all around us to help you. I think that sure we are trying our best is as individuals, but the reason why I'm still I think that we're still slow and pushing things forward is because we're not asking each other for help. I think we're not trying our best as a team and as a whole instead of as individuals.
For me personally, I felt that being a leader within the DI, I have to like control my temper and the things that I say to certain people. But like, if I say to someone like totally different who don't really know me as well, right? They're gonna like, what I say, whatever like offends them, is not just gonna be like me personally offend them. It's gonna be the DI as a whole that offends them. And so now I have to start realizing, okay, this is what I'm saying is gonna reflect bad on the DI. And like, there's like, and I've been telling Jeffy this, like, I just want to take off my DI shirt and then just start screaming and cussing at people. Like, but then he's like, oh, even if you take off your shirt, you're still a DI leader. So you can't just whatever you do, it's still gonna reflect on the DI. So that really kind of made me like, I learned a lot about some self-control as a DI. It's still, I take a lot of work though, but I'm learning. I'm learning.
I want students to realize, like other students to realize that like just because the DI is a thing doesn't mean that all problems are gone because we're working on it. I think we need support from the students. Like this is an area and like this is a place where you can actually voice your opinions. But I think that you can't just come to one meeting and like these are my problems, here you go, fix it, okay, bye. Like that's not how it works. I think you have to come and like help us work with it.
Also, I want people to recognize that we do not work for them, we work with them.
Roundtables were extreme success. That's finally somewhere where we stopped complaining to each other and brought it up to people that can actually make a change.
Like the new relationships that we are starting to build with the teachers at our schools, and also how now we're seeing teachers who never really knew how they could contribute to the DI. Now they're starting to really speak out around, like, about us and what we do, and actually trying to see like what ways that they could, what ways they could contribute through their field of expertise and in their classroom as well. I think for me my biggest disappointment was, instead of fighting for what I feel like was rightfully mine, I let it go in order to allow like to seize problems in people. And so I feel like I should have taken a different route instead of letting others handle the situation that they
People don't live up to their best even if they think that they're trying as hard. I think as students of BHSEC, like we're all excellent students and we all have like some moments of leadership. And so I feel like when people aren't confident in themselves and or like slack off because they think that they do their best, but like a lot of people do know like they can obviously do better. I think that was a huge disappointment, like seeing a strong team like this, but also knowing like there's certain things that I would rather have us do and like get faster at, or even like push this forward, and we're still like struggling to argue like small things like that.
I've learned to be more mindful of people's feelings and also to stand up for like people that can't usually or are afraid of standing up for themselves, but I'm kind of like learning to be like, to not be a bystander.
I feel like one thing I want people to understand about the SLT team is that we're still students, we're still like teenagers, and I feel like people see us as like adults that like understand everything and that we can't get frustrated or mad, and they just hold us to a very high expectation. All of that's not bad, it just feels kind of overwhelming when they like push you to that extent. I feel like one of my biggest disappointments is communication and being close with the SLT members, and I feel like I'm kind of stopping myself from being close to many of you, which kind of is a very big disappointment. I feel like one thing that's been difficult for me as an SLT member is kind of like using the power I have, that like we were able to implement a lot of new things into both campuses, like Ally Week in Queens and roundtables in both campuses and open mic night, which was pretty amazing.
Like I feel as if I've gotten in my own way this year. Like there are so many things I wanted to do, but then I put it behind myself to kind of beat myself up a bit. I think our resilience is also an achievement. Like we faced a lot of back pushing in front of and behind the scenes. I know Jeffrey gets a lot of it. And there's been a little bit less this year, but not that much less. I really wish people would understand that we're an organization, not a club. That we don't operate like a club. You can't come up to me and be like, I want to do this event. I'll be like, all right, go talk to Jeff or go talk to this person because they deal with that. That's not me. I hope that the legacy that we this year is people gaining a better understanding of others and being more empathetic. Was that the last? No, that was 2 retreats ago. Okay. Being more empathetic and understanding and actually taking the time to listen to others and understand others' plight as well as their own instead of just screaming about their problems. Well, everyone last year believed that it was like, I'm only speaking about last year because I was a 9th grader, but last year believed that you had to be a person of color to be in the DI. So white people weren't allowed to join. I don't know where that came from. And then this year, when we were asking people to sign up and we were doing things, and I pulled a bunch of my white friends, it's like, oh, you can be a part of the DI? I was like, yes.